Here we have Samsung's headlining mid-range phone, the Galaxy A55. This year there's something holding this phone back, but other than that, is it a better phone than last year's model? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's get into it in our Galaxy A55 review. The Galaxy A50 series phones are some of the most popular in Samsung's whole portfolio, besides the flagships. But this year's A55 won't be available in the US market. We're not sure why Samsung made this decision. US consumers will have to get the lower tier Galaxy A35 or last year's Galaxy A54, which are quite similar phones to begin with. But while it isn't a day and night difference, there are some upgrades here. A new chipset, a slightly bigger display, twice the RAM for the base storage tier, and a revamped design. Looks-wise, things haven't changed a ton. You again get a glossy, flat glass back, and separate camera rings. But this time around you get a flat aluminum frame, rather than a plastic one. The phone feels premium, a lot like the flagship Galaxy S24. And like before, you get IP67 rated ingress protection against dust and water. Like I mentioned, the A55 screen is bigger than last year. It's a 6.6-inch OLED with a 1080p resolution, a 120Hz refresh rate, and tougher Gorilla Glass Victus Plus protection. While some competitors these days do bring thinner bezels, this panel is still nice. It's sharp, contrasty, and has support for HDR10+ video. As far as brightness goes, the display's performance is about the same as last year. We maxed out at nearly 450 nits with a manual slider, and this boosted to over 1000 nits in auto mode when exposed to bright light. The refresh rate behavior is predictable as well. You get a smooth 120Hz when swiping and scrolling, and this can dial down to 60Hz when idling to save energy. The A55 has a pair of stereo speakers for your audio, and they're slightly louder than last year. The sound quality is better too, with better bass and cleaner sounding vocals. You can wake up and unlock the phone with an under-display fingerprint reader. This one is on the slower side, to be honest. You can get the A55 with 128 or 256 gigs of storage on board, and that is expandable through microSD. The interface of the phone is Samsung's latest One UI 6.1, running on top of Android 14. The Galaxy A55 gets most of the software features Samsung has to offer, but it doesn't support all of the new AI-related features, which are unique to the flagships for now. You can check out our dedicated video about One UI 6 if you'd like to find out more about it. And the Galaxy A55 is promised to receive up to 4 years of major OS updates and 5 years of security patches from Samsung. The phone's chipset is an Exynos 1480. It's newer and more powerful than the Exynos 1380 found in last year's Galaxy A54. Performance-wise, the Exynos 1480 appears to be quite competitive. In benchmarks, the Galaxy A55 demonstrates good scores in both CPU and GPU tests. Overall, the phone has enough power for smooth everyday performance and even some gaming. The thermal management is great too. In our prolonged stress tests, the A55 maintained high performance without throttling, and the phone itself didn't heat up either. The battery capacity hasn't changed this year, it's again 5000 mAh. Still, we see a significant improvement in battery life over the previous model, with a very good active use score of 13 hours and 27 minutes. The performance was much better in the web browsing, call time, and video streaming tests. The charging speed hasn't changed, it's still 25 watts. A 30-minute charge brings the A55 from 0 to 55%, and a full charge takes an hour and 3 minutes. Now we have the cameras, which are the same as last year. A 50-megapixel main cam, a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a 5-megapixel macro cam. The main cam's photos are nice overall, clean with plenty of detail. Although the camera hardware hasn't changed, the processing has. Photos have a bit of additional sharpness, as well as a more conservative approach to colors than we saw on the A54. The 2x digital zoom for the main cam is underwhelming. Things look a bit fuzzy, and there is some additional noise. In low light conditions, the main cam will typically use the automatic night mode processing, and the performance is solid. You get natural looking, detailed, and relatively sharp and clean photos. Contrast and colors are also on point. 4K footage taken with the main camera has punchy colors, good contrast, plenty of fine detail, and wide dynamic range. There is a bit of excessive sharpening on things like foliage and grass. There's video stabilization in 4K, and it also happens to be some of the best stabilization we've seen in this price range. The nighttime video was good too, somewhat clean, with plenty of contrast, good colors, and detail even in the shadows. However, the highlights are visibly overexposed. In good light, the A55's ultrawide cam is solid and outperforms many of its competitors. The sharpness and detail are excellent, colors are somewhat accurate, and contrast is good too. In low light, even with the automatic night mode, the results are far from ideal. Most photos come out quite noisy and soft, though they are still a tad better than most ultrawide cameras in the mid-range. The ultrawide camera's 4K videos are softer and less detailed than the main cams, and dynamic range is slightly narrower. Still, the quality is pretty good for this sort of camera. Finally, selfies from the 32-megapixel front-facing cam are excellent. They're detailed and relatively sharp, and colors look natural. That's the Samsung Galaxy A55. Overall, it's a nice, well-rounded mid-ranger with a premium build, good chipset performance and battery life, and solid cameras. There are a couple of things going against it though. First is that it isn't available in the US market, which will take a chunk out of its sales. And second, the phone is on the pricey side for its class, and you can find competitors with similar features for less money. But if and when its price does drop, the A55 could be worth getting. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're looking for alternatives to the A55, you might check out our review of the Galaxy A35. And another option is the Xiaomi 13T. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.